On Monday the 14th of August last week, a 22-year-old man named Yohannes Kidani was spotted getting into an Uber in San Jose, but strangely, he has not been seen since. He was immediately reported missing by his family the next day. However, they wouldn't find anything until 2 days later, when some of his belongings were discovered next to the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. Unfortunately, there was no sign of Yohannes himself, and police have been urging the public to keep an eye out for the newly appointed Netflix software engineer. But despite the effort that has gone into this case so far, the question that remains on everybody's mind is, what if we're already too late? Yohannes Kidani was born in Tompkins County, New York, along with his older brother Yusuf and younger sister Sarah. Ever since he was a child, his family always described him as a very smart individual, and it was clear that the young man would be destined for great things. He would later attend the prestigious Cornell University, where he would graduate with a degree in computer science. But almost immediately after graduating, Yohannes began his employment search and very quickly managed to get a job with Amazon as a software development manager. But he certainly wasn't looking to stick around for long, as just 3 months later, he left this position after accepting an offer to join Netflix as a software engineer. So safe to say, Yohannes was a very intelligent man, and according to Yusuf, he loved his new job and frequently praised his colleagues for their knowledge and abilities. For this new position, however, he had to leave his entire family behind in New York and moved to California in July of this year to begin his new, hopeful career. But around 1 week later, Yohannes Kidani would suddenly disappear without a trace. On the 14th of August, Yohannes left his apartment building on 28th North 4th Street in San Jose around 7:15 p.m, where he would soon get into a black Toyota Camry with an Uber sticker on the side. He had told his new co-workers that he was heading over to San Francisco to meet a friend for the night, but as they watched the car disappear around the corner, this would be the last time anybody would officially see Yohannes. Well, the next day, his sister Sarah was struggling to get a hold of her brother, and so decided to check his iPhone location to make sure he was okay. But upon opening the app, she was concerned to see that he was still in San Francisco, and strangely located right next to the Golden Gate Bridge. As far as everybody was aware, Yohannes was supposed to be back that night, so this discovery certainly set off some alarm bells for his family, who were on the other side of the country in New York. But things only got worse when Sarah tried to call her older brother only to find out his phone was switched off. After speaking to her parents about the situation, they all agreed to contact the local authorities in California to open a missing persons case. However, assuming they would hear back from their son soon enough, they were quietly hopeful that he would turn up eventually. That is, until the next day, when a commuter would stumble across some of Yohannes's belongings on a grassy hill next to the Golden Gate Bridge. But strangely, there was absolutely no sign of Yohannes himself. On the 15th of August, the local police were notified by this civilian, and they immediately sent a team out to investigate the items. They managed to uncover a phone and a fully intact wallet with $30 inside, plus an ID card which allowed the police to successfully identify the items as belonging to their missing person, Yohannes Kidani. They continued searching the surrounding area and eventually spotted a backpack even closer to the bridge. Curious, the on-duty officers inspected the bag and soon discovered that it contained 2 laptops and some seemingly untouched documents, again belonging to Yohannes. But despite the stacking evidence, the police were still no closer to finding the missing software engineer. Well, after continuing to scope out the area with no more luck, they eventually decided to head back to the office, where they planned to conduct some interviews with potential witnesses. After speaking with Yohannes's co-workers, the investigators learned that he had been travelling in an Uber the day before he was reported missing, so they attempted to get in contact with that driver. However, it is currently unknown as to whether or not the police successfully retrieved the driver's details, as no potential suspects have been named at this time. A few days later, the family of Yohannes decided to travel across the country to assist in the search, and they started putting up posters throughout San Francisco near hospitals and homeless shelters in the hopes that somebody may recognize him. The family also managed to start an online fundraiser which has generated more than $72,000 in donations. The plan was to use this money to cover expenses related to the search, including travel and fees for attorneys and private investigators. His brother Yosef Kidani explained that he last spoke with his brother on Sunday the 13th of August, and that the pair chatted for around 1 hour about his new job. He was later quoted as saying, "There's no me without Johannes. He's my best friend in the world. We will not give up looking for my brother. We're going to find him and we're going to bring him home. We know our friends and family and the community is not going to stop until we do." His mother also chimed in to address Johannes himself. "Everybody is here for you. Everybody is hoping. And until we find you, we are going to keep fighting. So wherever you are, please come back." But unfortunately, this is all we know for now. This is a truly disturbing mystery which I desperately hope has a happy ending. However, with Johannes now being missing for almost 2 weeks, his safe return is looking more and more unlikely. But with that, let's get into some of the potential theories. Could Johannes have been the victim of an Uber driver? The fact he was last seen getting into a car outside his apartment means that at some point between his journey and arriving in San Francisco, something happened to make him mysteriously disappear. Police have been unable to track the friend he was apparently planning to meet, so there is no way to verify if he actually arrived at his destination. So could he have been kidnapped by somebody claiming to be an Uber driver? This question cannot yet be answered, but to add more fuel to this theory, the Kidani family later claimed on their GoFundMe page that Johannes had a strange encounter with a different Uber driver just 2 days prior to his disappearance, which eventually led him to cancel that ride after crossing into San Francisco from Oakland. At the time, Johannes was unable to provide an accurate explanation for why the Uber driver was behaving so strangely, but he did say that for reasons unknown, they refused to take him to his desired destination, and instead insisted on taking him somewhere else. So there is certainly speculation that there may be a link between this incident and his disappearance days later. Could this have been the same Uber driver, or perhaps somebody different who was working alongside them? But if this is the case, what would be the motive for kidnapping Johannes? He was just a regular young man from a working class background with no ties to any nefarious groups as far as we're aware. So why would he have been singled out as a target? It's difficult to say at this time, but the lack of evidence has led police to believe that this incident is not related to any foul play. So if the Uber drivers were not involved in his disappearance, what else may have caused Johannes to suddenly go missing? Well, there appears to be only 2 options. Either he is alive and in hiding somewhere, or he is no longer with us. Starting with the more pessimistic theory, many have been quick to comment that with the young man's possessions being found near the Golden Gate Bridge, it is more than likely his disappearance has a much bleaker explanation. Unfortunately, this particular bridge is a notorious location, frequently used by people who are ready to end their lives. Could Johannes have given in to his new work pressures in this way? I would imagine that working for a large media company like Netflix would take quite a toll on a young man. Also, given the verdict from the police that they do not expect any foul play in this case, could they be hinting at something here? I'd also like to add, with Johannes being quite secretive about his initial strange encounter with the first Uber driver 2 days before he went missing, could he have confided in that driver on what he was planning to do once he arrived at his desired destination? Maybe this was why they refused to take him there. But no calls were ever made to the police to inform them of such an encounter, which would be strange considering the severity of a conversation like this. But alone, this does not negate the possibility that the driver could have been able to talk Johannes out of his heartbreaking plan, only for the troubled man to carry it out 2 days later. It's a truly horrible thought, but until we have more evidence, I think it's vital we continue searching with the hopes that he is still out there somewhere. But to end the theory portion of this video on a more hopeful note, there is still one more plausible reason for his disappearance, which is certainly possible. Perhaps Johannes decided he couldn't hack his new job at Netflix and new life in California, but afraid to disappoint his family, he ran away and is currently in hiding somewhere like a motel. So far there is no evidence to back this up, however, with Johannes being a very family-oriented person, and his brother Josef claiming to be his best friend, surely he wouldn't run away without telling him first. Also, we know that his family began putting up posters throughout San Francisco, near hospitals and homeless shelters. Perhaps he is an unidentified patient after somebody found him unconscious on the street. I would say there is certainly still a possibility that he could be lying in a hospital bed right now somewhere. But if this is the case, and for whatever reason Johannes is unconscious or is unable to confirm his identity, this wouldn't exactly be a happy ending either. But for now, I think we should continue to stay optimistic that he is alive out there somewhere. And over the next few weeks, I truly hope we receive a positive update on this story. Anyway, I think that pretty much wraps up all the details of this case, but before you go, if you live in the San Jose or San Francisco area, please note the following details about Johannes Kidani, as you may be able to help. He is described as weighing around 150 pounds and stands at 5 feet 8 inches tall. He was last seen wearing grey sweatpants, a black hoodie and black shoes. So if you do have any other information on this case, please contact the San Jose Police Department at 408-277-8900 using the reference case number 232770531. So on that note, thank you for watching, and please let me know if you would like me to cover more cases like these. My hope is that by spreading awareness early on, we may be able to somewhat assist in the search, so I'd love to make more videos like this one going forward. But either way, thanks again, and make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, check out our previous true crime documentary on screen now, where we cover the recent unsolved case of Cheyenne Clues.